Welcome to the Unbearables podcast. I'm Brandon Ruiz, and I'm here with
Zeke Cappel.
And Emilio.
And today we're going to talk about Carmelo Anthony. And he just, well, not officially yet, but we all know he's going to get bought out by the Hawks. So they traded for him, and they're paying him almost $28 million to not play basketball for them. That, I mean, good for Melo.
Right.
But, I mean, altogether, he's probably going to make around like 31 mil this season.
2.8 veterans.
Yeah, because he's looking at signing the veteran minimum with the Rockets. But that is very interesting in itself.
Yeah, I guess no other team wanted to get Dennis Schroeder, so they had to, do what they had to do.
I mean, they did get a lottery protected 2022 first-round draft pick from the Thunder within that trade. They also got Justin Anderson from the 76ers.
Right.
But why would I don't completely understand what was going on through the Hawks' head, but I read this one thing from CBS Sports. I thought it was pretty interesting. It says, if Carmelo Anthony signs with the Rockets, sports line projections decrease Houston's championship chances from 4.8% to 3.9%.
Wow.
I mean, it wasn't that good to begin with, but I don't know if I particularly agree with that, but I also don't know how the Houston Rockets are going to do because they still haven't signed Clint Capella.
Right.
And they don't have Ariza either.
Which, I mean, I know we've talked about in the past, but that's a big deal as well.
Honestly, the whole reason why the championship thing went down was because they got rid of Ariza, and I think the reason why the percent went down for winning percentage is they don't feel like Carmelo can take that role, and also he just because of his performance that he had with the Thunder, it doesn't really help. It's not a good look, and he can't. He doesn't run. He doesn't do
the things that Trevor Ariza would do on the defensive side of the ball. I see what
Right.
you're saying, but I do think that Carmelo Anthony will be able to score at a higher level than Trevor Ariza will. But a lot of this depends on if Carmelo Anthony is willing to take a different role on this Rockets team.
Right.
Which, if he does go on the Rockets team, everyone has said so far that I guess the narrative with everything is that he is going to be a bench player. And I guess he's okay with that. And so if that's the case, it might actually be really good for the Rockets because to have another scorer next to Eric Gordon coming off the bench would help the Rockets, in my opinion. But I do think that signing Melo does really hurt you defensively. So when you're playing a team like the Warriors in the playoffs, what are you going to do when they have, their starting five of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and DeMarcus Cousins? What are you going to do against that? And if you have to play Carmelo Anthony, who is he guarding?
And the problem is I would say just playing with the bench, but if you watch Warriors games, they always play one or two at least at a time, all the time, unless they're blowing them out.
Yeah. But one thing I do find pretty interesting though about Carmelo being on the Rockets is that I do think that it can help. It just depends though, right. Because last season the Rockets ran their 7-man rotation against the Warriors in their series. And maybe Melo will help with that because really almost all the scoring was coming from either Chris Paul, James Harden, or Eric Gordon.
Absolutely.
And to have an extra scorer
and the pick and roll of Clint. But
of Clint Capella. But the thing is, though, they abandoned that a lot. They should have used it a lot more because no one on that Warriors team at that time could guard Clint Capella off the pick and roll. I mean, he was scoring almost at will when he was doing that.
Yeah, and I'm with you there, Brandon. I think that off the bench, Carmelo can be a good asset for the scoring side of it. And again, he's going to have to embrace that for it to be effective. The reason why, and again, this isn't going to be amazing for the reasons you guys just said, the defensive issue, but there is some good in this aspect, at least I think, because if Carmelo embraces the bench role and just plays the game that he likes to play, the game that he's good at, he can give them some type of mid-range effect. And that's exactly what the Rockets don't really have a lot of. They're all shooting from the three, they're getting to the basket. So with Carmelo off off the bench, it increases that threat right there in the mid-range. I think that would work for him, but I mean, there's a lot of risks. There's a lot of questions.
I think that is definitely very interesting, though, because what the Rockets missed, like 33 three-pointers in the last game of the playoffs, or somewhere around there, in a row.
Broke the record.
And if Carmelo's on that team, I know Carmelo likes to shoot three-pointers as well, but Carmelo is a mid-range shooter. And so that does open up a lot more. Maybe he'll make other teammates realize that, hey, three-pointers aren't everything, and they're definitely not everything when they're not going in. And sometimes the 2 is better than 0. So,
Right.
That's just basic math. So I feel like Carmelo can definitely help the Rockets in that sense. I think you are completely right about that. But then again, it all depends on if Carmelo plays a little bit more of a team-style ball, too. Because Chris Paul is going to be the one who controls the ball for the most part, or James Harden, or Eric Gordon. Now, Carmelo can help with his ISO ball as well, but he is the difference between him, Eric Gordon, Chris Paul, and James Harden is that the other 3 are fast. They're fast enough, and they're really good at distributing the ball. Carmelo Anthony is not known for distributing the ball. So that does hurt them in that sense. He is an ISO player, but he, over his career, only averaged 3 assists per game, and last season he only averaged 1.3 assists per game. So that's definitely going to hurt them if he doesn't learn how to play a team game as well, because that's what the Rockets do. They play ISO, and if there's an ISO ball, and then if there isn't a play for them, then they pass it off to somebody else. So Carmelo's going to have to learn to do that.
Honestly, I feel like the three-pointers won't be as much of a problem this year just because of the system of the Rockets. If you look at the Thunder highlights, a lot of the guys just stand by the three-point line. Like, they didn't have a really good system. It was literally just Westbrook was the system, and everyone was just on the three-point line. But Carmelo didn't get a lot of open shots. He would literally just grab a rebound, run down the floor, and chuck up a 3, and just hit the glass. He wasn't good at it, but with this new system and how much they spread the floor and how much defense is separated, I feel like Carmelo would be able to get shots off a lot easier, and he'd feel a lot more calm shooting.
I think that definitely does help because, to have more passers on your team, you're more likely to get better looks. So I think this does help Carmelo Anthony out, but it is still going to be very difficult to beat the Golden State Warriors regardless. But I do, in my opinion, if they get Clint Capella back, I do think that they're a better team than they were last season if Chris Paul comes back as the same Chris Paul he was in that series against the Golden State Warriors. But only time will tell for that.
And time is something that Melo really doesn't even have. While averaging 32.1 minutes played per game, he shot a career low of 40.4% and only averaged 16.2 points, which was also a career low. So the issue is not only the temperament, the issue is not only the running, the defense, but the other issue is he's on the way down, and it seems that he's going down pretty quick. But that can pick up because of the way they can create that second line system around him. Not around him, but include him.
Yeah.
That can be better next year, and I do agree with that.
I really do feel like he's going to be better this year just from the experience of the Thunder and the system. His 16 points wasn't just a career low. It was like 8 points less than his career average. It was terrible.
For him,
the problem
yeah.
was that the Thunder system just wasn't his game. And it was also his first year where he wasn't the best player on the team. I really feel like now that he knows, if he doesn't win, or if he doesn't play the game that he's supposed to, the media will slander him like they did this year because he's not going to put up with that. Now he's going to take a veteran minimum contract. He would have never done that a year ago, and he would have never came off the bench either. So I really think he's going to learn.
I think that those are all good points, but one thing I want to say to that is I don't think Melo really cares about the media that much.
Agreed.
But I do believe that if Melo's willing to take this veteran minimum with the Rockets, because he could have got paid more money on another team if he would have went there, like the Miami Heat, or if he decided to go to the 76ers. He could have not taken the veteran minimum and went somewhere else, but he decided to go where he feels like he has the best chance of winning a championship. And I find that pretty interesting because Melo isn't that type of player, at least what we have known him to be. So I find it very interesting that this new Melo is trying something new. So hopefully it'll be good. I also think that his field goal percentage is probably going to be better next season because he is playing less minutes and because he's going to get less shots off. So he's going to have more energy. And also, just to point this out, Melo still does shoot like 35% from the three. So he does fit in this Rockets system. It's just a matter of him wanting to run up and down the court and play defense when he has to. If he does that and the Rockets get Clint Capella back, it could be very interesting in the playoffs. And I'm not saying that they're going to beat the Warriors, but I do think if they got to that point, it would be a decent series. As long as Chris Paul, there are a lot of ifs in this, but as long as Chris Paul comes back healthy, and if hopefully by this point, James Harden can step up in the playoffs and be the MVP that he was just picked to be. Be the leader of your team, because Chris Paul is honestly the leader of the team in the playoffs. But if you get the James Harden, a regular season James Harden, that's definitely going to make a huge difference for the Rockets game.
I really don't feel like Melo's going to end up playing defense, and it's going to hurt the team, but I really feel like his offense is going to pick it up. Also, I feel like Harden played pretty good when Chris Paul was on the floor, but when he was off, he couldn't. So I feel like as long as they have the same Chris Paul and this James Harden, I feel like they'll be fine. But that's not to give an excuse to James Harden to not play as good as he should be.
But yeah, well, I think he really needs to play better though. Like James Harden, it's not, you can't make an excuse, because you don't make an excuse for LeBron to play at his maximum level in the playoffs. When he doesn't, people hold him accountable.
Right.
And so James Harden is an MVP now. James Harden is a leader of the team. James Harden is one of the highest paid players in the league. He has to play at a high level every single game. Like, when Russell Westbrook doesn't play at a high level, everyone talks about it. There are certain players, when they don't do that, everyone talks about it. Now, there are players on the Warriors where they don't play at a high level, and it's okay because they have so many players on their team that can help balance that out, so it doesn't get looked at as much. And also, they're winning championships, so you don't really make excuses for them, because it's not making their game any worse.
Well,
but on a team like the Rockets that has to compete with the Warriors, and they don't have all the talent that you do have has to play out all the time to be able to compete. So if James Harden doesn't do that, he should be held accountable for it, because he is hurting his own team, and he's supposed to be an MVP.
Honestly, I feel like one of the main reasons why the Warriors don't get criticized is because of just how, like, when KD joined the team, everyone's numbers spread out. Like, they were unselfish. But another thing is, when KD wasn't on the team and Steph choked in the 2016 finals, like, he got so criticized for that. And it was rightfully so. So if James Harden doesn't step it up this year, he deserves to have, if not the same amount of criticism that Steph had that year.
And I'm with you there. Like, if James Harden doesn't step up, what's he gonna, like? How's he gonna do against the death lineup?
The death lineup.
Death
lineup. See, the death lineup is interesting. If you want to talk about the death lineup, if you don't know what the death lineup is, I'll explain it to you. So we're talking about the Lakers. Now at point guard, they got Lonzo Ball. Shooting guard, Josh Hart. Small forward, Brandon Ingram. Power forward, Kyle Kuzma.
Kuzmanator.
And LeBron James at center. Now, I don't know how you stop that.
Look, it's a great lineup. It really is. If you look at it, it's pretty good. Is it a death lineup? No.
Because you have a death lineup in the same state, and it's in Oakland.
Right. What do they call themselves? The Hampton Five?
Yeah.
See, my whole thing is like, I don't think this is a bad lineup either. The only problem is that I wouldn't have LeBron James playing center, because you're going to have him up against DeMarcus Cousins one day. And if DeMarcus Cousins is like regular DeMarcus Cousins, not like spectacular DeMarcus Cousins, but just like on an average day, that's going to be very tough for LeBron to defend. And LeBron is also losing weight. LeBron is like he's trying to get faster. So I see what people are trying to say with this, because LeBron is obviously a very strong player. He obviously can play a lot of positions. But that he can play all the positions, but it doesn't mean he can play them all at the highest level. And that's the problem. I want LeBron at small forward, or power forward, because I feel like that's where LeBron will shine the most. Having him at center takes away a lot from your team, but I can understand why people like this death lineup, because you have scorers at almost every position except for your point guard. But the good thing is that your point guard is known for distributing.
Right.
So I understand where they're coming from. This is just not my favorite lineup.
And this isn't going to be effective against the Warriors. It's just not. It's just not. Will it win you some regular season games against the right teams? I think so. Can it get you to a higher seed? I think so. But at the end of the day, that don't mean nothing if you're not getting past the Warriors. Because you can be the one, like the Rockets proved it to you. You can be the one, but you can still lose to the Warriors.
And the thing is you look at the seeding in the West. Imagine if they get the 4th seed and they win the first round. They beat the 5th seed. Then they got to beat probably the Warriors at the first. They could, depending on what seeding they're in, they could literally get knocked off in the second round.
Exactly.
What I do find interesting about this death lineup is that it could work in certain parts of games, because there is a lot of scoring power in this lineup. So if you needed to get some quick buckets in any part of the game, this might be good to put out there, because you have shooters. You have people who can score. So I personally think that there are going to be times where this lineup can be used.
Yeah.
But it has to be limited. If you're trying to have this lineup for 30 minutes on the court, I'm not feeling that at all. But if you want to have it maybe where you have to get a shot off and to win a game, I think that's a pretty good idea, because you need all the shooters out there. Or if you're down and you need to just get some quick points, do it. Why not try it? You're gonna have a fast-paced offense first of all, because they're all young except for LeBron, but LeBron isn't slow, and it might work out for certain plays. But you can't have LeBron James playing center for the whole game. That just isn't going to work, because it's just too much for LeBron, especially because of the weight loss. So LeBron was 280. He might not be that right now. So you have to put up that all into consideration. If I'm picking my own starting lineup, I have starting lineup, the bench unit, and third string players. I could go through all of them, but what do you guys want? Starting lineup first?
Give me your starting lineup.
All right, starting lineup first, I'll go Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, LeBron James, and JaVale McGee. I don't love JaVale McGee there, but there's a reason why I have him there because of the bench unit, and I'll explain that later. But to me, this seems like it's okay. I can deal with it because I want to talk about the bench unit, but I'm not sure. What do you guys have any opinions on to that?
Well,
in a sec?
I don't think JaVale could start because he has asthma, so I don't think that's why I didn't start in the Warriors, though. That's what put Zaza over him.
But
on paper, I get what you're saying.
No, I'm with you there too, Brandon. I think Lonzo and this is gonna sound weird, but I think Lonzo and McGee can really cling on to something pretty nice, because I feel like Lonzo could get that ball right in that pocket where JaVale would need it, and that's where he had most success in the Warriors. I think it was either game 1 or 2. Him and Sean Livingston went 11 for 11, and he specifically went 5 for 5, and those were all in the pick and roll. So I mean, those having that off the bench, that would be good. But having that but that's the Warriors. In this situation, you could have that starting, and that could work. The reality is, you need somebody big there that can protect that rim by any means. And the thing is, LeBron James gets lazy on defense. That's not going to work at the 5.
Well, that's basically where it comes in. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because you need JaVale McGee there, because you need an actual center there. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to put Ivica Zubac in my starting lineup. I'm not going to do that. So
Wagner.
So my whole thing is JaVale has to play, even if he has asthma. I'm sorry, you're a professional athlete. I'm pretty sure you'll use an inhaler if you need it.
Right.
That's just how I feel. So
you take Rondo off the bench, though?
I'm definitely taking Rondo off the bench.
He would be so good off the bench.
Well, I'm just going to say it. So the reason why I have Brandon Ingram on the starting unit is because I really want Kyle Kuzma to play with Rondo.
Right.
So I want this is what I want for my bench unit. I want Rondo, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Michael Beasley,
Lance?
Kyle Kuzma, and Mo Wagner.
Oh, he's at third string. Lance
See,
is third string.
This is and there's a reason though, because Rondo, if he has the scorers around him, like all these guys can score, every single one of them. Wagner can shoot, Kuzma can shoot, Beasley can shoot, Caldwell-Pope can shoot. All of them can. So you know who's gonna get them the ball.
Rondo.
Now, if you have all those players around Rondo, that's how Rondo thrives. Shooters all around him, people who can score. If you have that for Rondo, it can look pretty. And I think this also gives some other players some rest time. So when you get to the playoffs, I know they're young. I understand that. But some players are going to need rest, and you want to be as fresh as possible during when it comes playoff time.
Right.
Rondo can get all these guys the ball, and they can score. I'm almost positive.
And that's going to be huge coming off the second unit.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of how the Warriors in 2015, on how everyone talked about how great their bench was. If this is the Lakers bench, you know, that they probably would have the best bench in the league. It would probably get them pretty far. The thing that separated the Warriors from every other team that year was the fact that they could go, like, the score can be tied, and as soon as the bench unit comes in, they can keep the game going. Or at least if they're down on the bench team could actually bring the lead back up, put the starters in. And that kind of sounds like what the Lakers are trying to do this year.
Yeah, I really think the Lakers bench is really good. A lot better than people think. So I think that's definitely going to help them. Now, my problem is I was trying to find a place for Lance Stevenson to play. And he can be subbed in at any time is why I didn't have him in a specific
Yeah, there's
spot.
no second team, third string in NBA. It's like if you're good, you're playing.
Yeah, that's what I'm basically feeling. Right. But at the same time, it's like I'm just looking at people I want to surround Rondo with. And Lance Stevenson, I'm sorry, I don't want to surround Rondo with him, but they can definitely play at the same time. But to make Rondo look as good as he can, you need to have people who can score. And I'm so excited to see Michael Beasley on this team, actually, especially because I've always felt kind of like Michael Beasley should have been more than he was in this NBA because he did have a lot of talent, and I just feel like he didn't have the right pieces around him to show it. And maybe with this team, it could open up some opportunities for him, and especially the one player who can do that, especially, is Rajon Rondo. So I think it's pretty interesting. I liked it. I want to see it, and I want to see how Lance Stevenson fits. I also want to see how Isaac Bonga fits. I want to see, yeah, and I want to see all of this. I also want to know if Luol Deng's gonna play. Like, do you guys think if he stays on this team, do you think Luol Deng is going to play on this team?
I have no idea.
I think if they have a rocky start, LeBron gets worried. Absolutely.
LeBron loves veterans.
Exactly.
And Luol Deng, LeBron remembers Luol Deng. Luol Deng played pretty well against LeBron back in the day. Luol Deng can still play. It's just a matter of him getting paid $20 million and them wanting their young guys to get their reps in. Mm-hmm. And I respect that because that's a pretty good idea because they're your people of the future. Luol Deng is not in your future.
Absolutely.
So I think Luol Deng could fit in somewhere. You can plug him in somewhere. You don't have to play him a lot. But he has a lot of veteran leadership, a ton of it. So I think he does have a lot of value. I think he should be on the court at least sometime. I
actually think it was good that the Lakers picked up Lance and Rondo and that they have Lonzo Ball. All that tells me is and LeBron James sat down with Magic and talked about getting these players. Magic said that himself.
Yeah.
All that tells me is that LeBron doesn't want to be the ball dominant player on the team. You know, he doesn't want to have to make every single play, and that's really going to help LeBron because he's not going to use as much energy, and he's not going to have to run down the floor or make every play every single time like how he did last year. That's why he wanted to pick up these players.
And I do hear you, Zeke. I'm telling you, I do hear you. But this is clear-headed summer LeBron. The second poop hits the fan, you don't know what LeBron's going to want to do, and that's my thing. Like, if the season doesn't go that great, he gets frustrated, he gets angry. What is he going to do? He's going to continue to let someone else run the floor while it's not working out? I don't think so.
I would think about free agency, too. They could probably try and pick someone up to fill in that role.
But the thing is, though, once you change the team, on LeBron James. What happens to LeBron James? He usually wants the change, but then he starts to take over.
Exactly.
Because they don't know how to play with each other now. Because the team that played together in the summer, that worked out with each other in the summer, is not the same team that you're playing with during the season.
Oh, sorry.
It's
Go
okay.
ahead.
No, I just want to say, but to Emilio's point, if Lonzo Ball plays well in the beginning of the season, if he does that, LeBron probably isn't going to be as worried. But if Lonzo Ball doesn't play well, there are going to be some problems. So that is a really big problem. But I also think that's why they got Rondo and they got Lance Stevenson, because they need those other passers, so just in case.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, Brandon Ingram can take off. Kyle Kuzma can do well. But if Lonzo isn't going to be doing well at his position, which I'm not saying that this is my prediction. I'm saying if that's the case, LeBron gets in a mode of we got to do whatever I got to do. Not we. He goes, I got to do whatever it takes to win. And when that happens, he's going to think, I got to get the ball in my hands. And I think that can cause some friction. But I also understand that people evolve. I also realize that LeBron James is a very intelligent guy. He does well in business. He does well in basketball. He's a smart guy. And maybe he is making this change. Maybe he does understand that he can't do that anymore. But the thing is, when people are in panic mode, when people are in fight or flight moments, it doesn't matter. All that's out the window. Anything can happen.
One thing that LeBron stated was that he's not gonna mess with this young core, or at least that's what Magic talked to him about. So yeah, I get what you guys are saying about the frustration and stuff, but they're definitely not gonna get run out of town like last year with all the Cavs players and stuff.
Right, at least not to the degree of that, and I don't even mean specifically the young core, but those 1 year guys. Anything
most
could happen.
definitely.
Anything could happen.
They're free game. Like if Lance and Rondo aren't playing the way that they want them, LeBron will literally halfway through the season be like, all right, well, I would rather have this player instead, so go do that. And Magic would probably be like, sure.
One thing about Magic, though, since we're bringing it up, I just want to talk about this. He said, I think it goes to Jimmy Kimmel. He said, I'm a competitor, so I'm not scared of Golden State. I'm not worried about Golden State. They don't keep me up at night. And part of me feels like, why is Magic Johnson acting like he's going to be on the floor playing point? Like, I understand you're not afraid. You also don't have to play against them. Like, there's a really big difference from making a team, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But when you're on the floor playing the Golden State Warriors, I am sorry. They are a very good team. They're a great team. So stop acting like the Warriors, they can't handle the team you have assembled, because they've handled almost every single team in the league with ease, except for the Houston Rockets last season. So, I don't like this because, first of all, I understand how Magic Johnson is. He likes to play everything cool. That's just the person he is. But the problem is, like, you're not playing on the court. As much as you'd like to be playing on the court, you're not playing on the court. So you have to, I feel like, at least respect the Warriors because they're the defending champs. And it's for a reason. They might get a three-peat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you big time. And the thing is, it's good that he has plenty of confidence in his players and all that. And that would be great for the players, in the training time. Like, when they're talking to Magic. He's not even the coach. It's not like they're going to see him every day. But, like, that's all good. But the reality is, once you're face-to-face with the Warriors, that doesn't matter. It's all about how well you feel with yourself. How much confidence do you have in yourself? How willing are you to stick to the game plan, whatever you got drawn up? Because that's the only way. You're not going to improv your way past the Warriors.
And when the Warriors get hot, they get hot.
Once that third quarter hits, what you doing?
And the reason for that is that the Warriors, they could play just their average level ball and keep up with any team in the league. And they just know, hey, if we turn it on in the third quarter, and I said we on purpose, actually. I was going to say but that's not how the Warriors play. Mm-hmm. So if we turn it on in the third quarter, it's over for any team in the league because we have Steph, KD, Clay, Draymond. Now they have DeMarcus Cousins. What are you going to do? Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala. They have so many people on their team. What are you going to do? So when Magic says he's not afraid, I understand it's about confidence. You have to be confident in what you do. Like, you have to believe in yourself. But the thing is, though, he can believe in himself all he wants. His players have to believe in themselves. And that's the thing. You hear this all from him. I don't know about any. I haven't heard any Lakers players saying we could beat the Warriors.
Well, here's the thing. I don't really know if this is going to help this case as much, but every single year the Lakers beat the Warriors once or twice for some reason, and it's been like that. And Steve Kerr even acknowledges it. And not only that, but Luke Walton is also their head coach who coached the Warriors, so he kind of knows what's up with the Warriors and what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's not going to enough to take him over the top, but I kind of understand where Magic's coming from, because he's like, well, I'm kind of assembling a team right now. I don't think he meant it in the way that look at our team now, we're going to beat them this year. I don't really think he meant it like that. I just think he meant we're going to make our way towards it.
One thing I want to say, though, about the Lakers beating the Warriors in the regular season, how many times did the Bulls beat any of LeBron's teams in the regular season for most of the games they played?
They usually beat them, the Bulls?
Yeah, the regular season, right?
Yep.
And then what happens when they get to the playoffs?
Well, there you go.
Well, that's not the case. I don't really think that's the case, just because of the context I put it in. I feel like they kind of know the Warriors' game plan, how they work, and we didn't really know. LeBron kind of changes his game every single year. He has a different way he plays. There's always Kyrie is on the team, and then when he was off, he had a new cast, and then he had to be more ball dominant. And he wasn't the same player when he first came to the Cavs. He didn't play exactly the same because he had to adjust.
But what I'm saying is that great teams like to compete against great teams, and there were some really good Bulls teams. I'm not gonna lie. And you know what? The regular season, it matters, but the regular season does not matter as much as the playoffs. And so I can almost guarantee you.
We just haven't seen one yet, though.
What I'm just saying, I can almost guarantee you that the Warriors playing in the regular season don't ever play as hard as they play in the playoffs, because they don't need to. They don't even need to play hard in the playoffs. They didn't even need to play hard in the finals. So why would they have to play hard? And they coasted in the whole finals. The whole finals. It was easy. So that's my whole thing about that, is that yes, the Lakers might understand the Warriors' game plan. Luke Walton, from what I have heard from players around the league, even Kobe Bryant has said this. Luke Walton, he always told him he would be a great coach one day, and he understands the game. He can see things. So I believe what you're saying, because if Kobe says it, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I do think regular season Warriors is a completely different animal than playoff Warriors, and definitely finals Warriors. Because that's when it gets serious. That's when game time is real.
And even just the regular season compared to the playoffs, it's an entirely different game. You are watching every player that's on that court has to be playing their best basketball every second. The Warriors didn't do that, and we're still the champs this year.
What I like about the Lakers, though, is that they do have some defensive players like Lance Stevenson, and I know LeBron does sag off sometimes, but
Lonzo
LeBron
Ball too.
But wait, what?
I said Lonzo Ball too.
Yeah, but they do have a lot of defensive ability, though. I've seen Lonzo Ball play good defense. It just means that he has to want to play good defense, and I'm pretty sure if they get to the playoffs, he is going to do that throughout the whole playoffs.
I'm pretty sure he was all NBA defensive team this year too.
Who?
Lonzo Ball.
I'm not completely sure about that one, but if you saw it, then I'm gonna.
Yeah, I think the thing with Lonzo is I feel like a lot of his criticism was unjustified. I feel like he'll be a lot better of a player this year, just because
if his meniscus is okay.
Yeah. Because honestly, I don't fully believe that. I really think the Lakers said that so they didn't trade him.
No, he's the one who released that information.
That's what I mean. They released it so that the Lakers didn't trade him, because you know how big that of a deal that would be. Ball in the Family would probably lose views. Their whole media outlet of getting money would decrease if he left the Lakers.
But one thing I want to say, though, is that a lot of players, when they say they have meniscus problems, end up tearing their meniscus eventually. Even though he doesn't have to get surgery right now, it happens to a lot of people. Or even if they don't have to tear it to get the surgery, they just feel like I should probably get the surgery. So I just wonder how that's going to affect Alonzo. But I do think that the Lakers did do a smart thing by getting smart defensive players on their team, because Rondo's a good defensive player. Lonzo's a good defensive player. LeBron is when he really needs to. And like I said, Lance Stevenson. This is good. These are good things. And that's what you're going to need to play the Warriors. But at the end of the day, it is a little...
Right.
It is a little bit of a stretch. Okay, well, that'll be about enough for today. So we're going to talk about Marcus Smart and his signing and see what our opinions are about it next time. And we're also going to talk about Dirk Nowitzki, pay some respects. And we also want you guys to comment and let us know if you have any questions, any hypotheticals you want us to answer, basically anything. So just let us know, and we'll do it. We'll be happy to do it as well. So that'll be about it for today. This is the Unbearables podcast. I'm here with
Zeke Cappel.
And Emilio.
And thanks for listening.